E360 TV proudly presents Messages of Inspirational Stories TV show. Live streaming now to millions of devices around the world on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, YouTube Live, Facebook live streaming. Our shows are available video on demand on these channels. And we broadcast daily, Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on these channels. On Mondays, Expanding Your Business. Tuesdays, Natural Health and Wellness. On Wednesdays, we cover Mentoring Our Youth. And on Thursdays, our new show, Ideas Worth Knowing. And on Fridays, Women in Leadership. To be able to watch our television show on your favorite device, please go to e360tv.com and download the app for your favorite device. Brought to you by our producers and hosts, Jimgrant and donnaguinouard. Along with our hosts, Beata Severin-Reed and Emersonbrantley. Supported by our admin team of Michaela Vidal and Gaia Guinois Balconi Weda. And welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. The Messages of Inspirational Stories is proudly brought to you by the good guys at the 6minutewebinar.com. And if you haven't noticed already, this is Wild Shirt Day. I got the tamest one of the bunch, and Emerson's all dressed for the occasion, and so is our guest, Mr. Vinneychopra. Ladies and gentlemen, we're starting a brand new series right now on Wednesdays, Mentoring Our Youth, with our guest, Mr. Vinneychopra. And I'm going to let him introduce himself, but what really impressed me, Emerson, you and Mike had him on last Thursday's show, right. Ideas Worth Knowing. Share a little bit about that, would you, sir?
Well, it's important as we look at decisions that we make in business and all of that we're not just thinking in the box that we're in,
Amen.
But we're seeing it beyond that. And if you say the term real estate investor, most people think, oh, people buy and sell houses. That would be the first thing a lot of people would think. Mm-hmm. Somebody says, oh, I'm a commercial investor. They think, oh, people who buy and sell office buildings. But when you talk about real estate beyond that, now you're getting into the world that Mr. Chopra has spent many years in. It's syndication. And that's what we talked about on that show. Mm-hmm. But today, because he has a tremendous story, and I'm going to ask him when he gets on to share his story again.
Yeah.
How when he came here first as a young man, he had, I believe, $70 in his pocket. I'm going to let him tell that story because $70. $70.
Oh, okay.
And
what do I know?
And he has built a business that manages around $1 billion in assets today. Mm-hmm. So for you, this is Mentoring Our Youth. Wherever you're at right now in your life doesn't have any relevance to where you can be 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now.
Amen.
And the important thing is, first of all, to believe that. Secondly, to not believe the voices that may be giving you different information than that, or telling you you're not enough, or you're not able, or you're people, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And to find the information that you need to take you there. So with that, I think we have an extremely qualified person today, Jim.
Oh, we certainly do. And I just want to share one thing for the folks out there to let the young kids know this. This is very, very important. You cannot push a chain uphill and change your world. You've got to follow the energy. I remember back in,
one of Jim's favorite sayings.
Dobie Gray. his famous hit in 1973 was Drift Away. You know, give me the beat, boys, and free my soul, and won't get lost in your rock and roll. But in 1965, he had a song. I thought he was singing my song because I was in high school. I'm in with the in crowd. The in crowd was the name of the song. And see, that really appeals. It appealed to me, to my ego, my youth, my ignorance, let's be honest. But the problem with that is that that's not reality, because I was wanting to be something that I wasn't. And a lot of young kids fall into that peer pressure. You can't make someone love you. You can't even make them like you. But the important thing of it is to embrace yourself, love yourself, and find out what your pathway in life is that's there, already there for you. All you got to do is follow that energy. And let's bring our guest on board here, because he really, I want to hear his story. I want to hear about is it 70 or 7? I'm not sure, but I'm sure he remembers.
There he is.
Welcome to the show, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much, Jim. Thank you, Emerson, for inviting me on this wonderful show, Mentoring Our Youth. It's been a passion of mine. Well, I just turned 71 just a couple of weeks back, and I am so excited to be on your show as long as you will have me on Wednesdays so that you can talk to the youth and share with them some stories of our lives, how we got where we are now. Because we were born one day just like everybody, but you're right. It's 7 or 70. It's 7, actually. 7.
Was it 7?
Yeah. He was just one. He's never more than 10 digits off on any number.
We're talking about the time value of money today, so
there you go. That's so true. So true. But you know, I grew up in a very humble beginning in India, in New Delhi, India. That's where I was born, and we will talk about actually all the different things, whatever you would like me to talk about into my younger days, because it's so important for everybody listening or watching us to have dreams. And that's what I came here with $7 and big dreams in the land of opportunity. And I was sharing with Brother Jim the other day, yesterday actually, that you know, when I came to USA, the airline had a strike from LaGuardia Airport going to Washington, D.C., where my uncle and aunt was waiting for me. And there was they said, no, it's strike. You can't go on another plane. I said, no. So I was persistent enough to keep on asking the agent that they flew me in a helicopter. There's this guy coming from 15 hours of, air flight, and they put me in there to go from LaGuardia Airport to New Jersey Airport because another airline plane was leaving to go there. Why do I share that? It's the persistentiveness. If you have something in mind and you really, really, really let everybody know that it needs to happen, and it needs to happen. Things happen, and many times, the circumstances conducive to that occasion make things happen for you. And we were this little boy, when I came 46 years back, I looked over the lights. This was in the evening, 6 o'clock, 6:15. And not London, all these bridges of New York just mesmerized me. I said, oh my gosh, this is like heaven over here.
You know, the thing, too, that I'm getting out of that story, and this is a very important lesson, is that, there are people willing to help you if you let them know that what your goal is and you need help. Because he had $7 in his pocket, airline strike, but he had to get to Washington, D.C., and they that's a classic story, how to get a free helicopter ride. I see a book in that, Emerson. How about you?
That was amazing. That was really, really amazing. But let's go back to, if we may.
Sure.
Again, this whole series is about how we can be self-disciplined, how we can set goals, all those things. As a
Yes.
young boy, I remember I grew up in 382 square feet apartment. 382 square feet with 6 siblings. We are 2 brothers and 4 sisters. 4 sisters and 2 brothers. And mom and dad. So 8 people lived in this 1 bedroom apartment and a 1 living room and a hallway where all the 3 spaces will become bedrooms at nighttime because and then sisters of course sleeping in 1 bed, 2 people, this anyway. The thing is, you got to make happen whatever your circumstances are. As I look back, so when I was in elementary school or like that, I was happy guy. I don't remember. I don't know. I just don't remember that I was poor or how did it affect me. But if I look back at it, I just wanted to be the person I could be,
Amen.
working hard, and schooling was big on my mind. My dad also had a very big thing. I would love to bring it up. My dad held a school after dinner every night
Wow.
at home. He was a disciplinarian. He's no longer now. He passed out at 88 in USA. When I brought him here, my mom also came. She is also gone now. But the big thing I want to talk about today is a little bit about self-discipline. It permeates through the family also, because after dinner, we knew every day that we got to study for hour and a half to study the chapters that the teacher is going to teach tomorrow.
You know, Emerson, Daniel Goldstein made a great comment when he talked about self-discipline. He says it's like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it gets, and it's easier to implement because you've trained your brain.
Well, and
So
your
true.
brain follows many different things like impulses, but they're patterns and they're habits, and this is how your brain is structured. And as you continue in the same patterns, you begin developing habits. So a lot of times we talk about self-discipline, and it's this want to restrict us or hold us down
Deny.
or keep us back, or I want to be able to do what I want to be able to do. And in reality, the reverse is true, is that the willingness to discipline ourselves frees us to be able to make the kinds of decisions and do the kinds of things that we want to be able to do and to have the kind of life that we want to have.
Oh, yeah.
Without that, we end up being there's an old term, flotsam and jetsam. Okay, that's if you ever look on a shoreline after there's been a storm, there's stuff blowing all over the water, there's foam and there's trash and things. That's flotsam and jetsam, and it's just being moved by the tide. It's just being moved by the wind, instead of being able to be steadfast in where it's going and charting its course and heading in that direction with a plan and with discipline. And that's why discipline, that's a very good point that you make, Vinny, because that really is one of those things that matters.
Yeah, because Vinny, I want to ask you a question. You saw all this excitement as a young man, and how did you funnel that excitement into a pathway of life for you with desires and self-discipline? Please share it with us.
I would love to share with everybody that I used to be a very thin person, and my peers, my fellow friends would call me like a pencil. It's called over here bashing, or it's called to be able to really work with your mind to really put you down, and something like so. What's the other thing we talk about in our schools over here? Also, some students are getting taken. Their mind is intrigued by who they are not. See,
Oh, yeah.
that's who they are not. And that is a big thing. If anybody listening or watching us is, maybe you might be thinking, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm too thin, I'm too fat, I don't have this money, or I'm not born in a right place, or whatever, right? So, that to really to get your mind, you have to be a little bit stronger to say, I will excel in this particular thing so that I can prove other people wrong.
Yeah.
So,
And social media really feeds on that.
it
It
does.
feeds on that, on wanting to tie you in so you can see what everybody else is doing and how their lives are and how much better they are. And people tend to, it's like people tend to be gravitate towards that, seeing how the other half lives kind of a thing.
So
instead
true.
of looking at what they have in their life, in your life, what you have, and the value that you have, and the intelligence that you have, and how you see things differently than other people do, and how you think differently, and how you become a valuable part in a team.
Yes,
Yeah.
Because you are unique in everything, and that uniqueness is a good thing.
I knew a guy who was a businessman. He had a picture in his office behind his desk, and a lot of you have seen this picture. It's the four fence. It's a picture frame with a fence this way, fence that way, with four cows in there. And what do you think the four cows are doing? They got their head on the other side of the fence, eating the other cow's grass, and it's a domino effect all the way around. And at the bottom, it had a statement. I'm trying to remember exactly what it said, but it said, "Focus on what you have." And it just made an impression on me. But of all the pictures him to put in his office, that was one behind his desk.
Oh, that's so great. You're so right. I think we need to look into ourselves and be grateful for everything we have.
Ooh, yeah.
Everything. I mean, when we get up in the morning and we have our hands and we can, move our hands, and we can, look in our eyes and face and everything. So we should be so thankful for everything God has given us today.
Yes.
And be thankful, and then use those things, our mind and body and soul, everything, to become a better person every day.
Yeah.
So,
the things that we value in life, as sad as it is, but it's true, we value the things that we buy, we pay money for. But the things that money cannot buy, that no thief can ever steal from you, is something we put very little value on it. And I have a habit now. I try to do it more frequently than I've done in the past. I'm still training this brain of mine. When I wake up in the morning, I thank the good Lord for the day.
yeah.
I thank the good Lord for the heartbeat in my veins, the breath in my lungs, because how many decades did I take that for granted? Like I tell people, that heart attack for me was a wake-up call, But really, we should value one of the greatest gifts on planet Earth, the greatest gift, and that is love. Love yourself first. If you love yourself enough, you will have enough love to forgive others.
And
Oh my gosh.
That's powerful.
It's so true. And forgiveness is so powerful.
So powerful.
It sets you free.
Forgiving ourselves first.
Yeah.
That is self-love. And there's an old saying, and you viewers who may not have heard it can look it up. You can Google it, but there's an old saying that familiarity breeds contempt.
Oh, yeah.
Familiarity breeds contempt, and usually it's used like this when it's talking about a couple of people who've been together for a long time and they no longer value each other. But this is what I want you to consider. Who is the person who has the greatest familiarity with you? And the person who has the most familiarity with us is ourself. And because we know ourselves better than anybody else, we have voices in our head going on 24 hours a day, and those voices don't always build us up, do they? A lot of times those voices are going, they're going to find you out. They're going to realize you're fake.
You moron.
They're going to turn on you like the last one did. They're going to and we become familiar with ourselves.
Yes.
And the trick in all of this, it's not a trick, but the magic in it is when we insist on listening and feeding ourselves with uplifting and positive, loving, forgiving information, the voices that we begin to hear begin to drive us in a different direction.
I'm so glad you're saying that. Yeah.
I just want to add one quick thing, if I may. You know, the way we train our subconscious mind is extremely important, and that's what Emerson is talking about because, listen up, young folks, your subconscious mind will never let you fail. It's going to make you reach the goal that what you think you're going to become.
So true. It will succeed at that goal, and that goal may not be the success that you want. That's what Jim is saying there.
Yeah, thank you for cleaning that up for me. I had enough
you got to
coffee
make sure. You got to make sure that you're feeding that subconscious mind so that what you end up with is what it is that you think you want.
It's so amazing, because subconscious mind is the one that really lets us do the things we do. Our habits come from subconscious mind. Consciously, we decide momentarily what to do, but subconscious mind brings us the habits. What you were just saying, Emerson, the self-talk, the Mr. Mediocrity, sometime back, I was reading about that. If you think about Mr. Mediocrity on the left shoulder and another Mrs. Mediocrity on the right shoulder, you don't let them talk to your psychic and make you mediocre. You don't want to be mediocre because we are a miracle. Everybody in this universe is a miracle. Why do I say we are a miracle? Because when we buy a telephone, let's just think with me, iPhone or other phones are so popular, and how good care do we take care of that phone? We clean it up. We make sure it's next to us, and we make sure that nobody touches it and everything. When we buy, let's say, a computer or something for studies or laptop, we take so good care of that material thing because that's going to give us really good avenue for us to learn. And let's see, if we become youth and later on we buy a home, we take care of the home and everything. But what do we do to take care of us?
There you go.
Why we don't really put more effort to take care of our soul, our body, our mind. It's so important because this is the most precious thing, much better than all the other examples I just talked about.
Yeah.
Thomas, the opportunities that you're looking for really are already inside you.
Yeah.
They are inside you right now.
Yeah. Thomas Peterfly made a very interesting comment. He says the difference between winners and losers comes down to one thing, and that is self-discipline.
So true. So very true. So very true. Self-discipline is the one that really gives the ability to control our behavior. Behavior, if our behavior is correct, then we'll get responsible choices that we can make. And that is the difference between self-discipline, getting success in life, in academics, in the career, in the personal relationships with mom and dad and brother and sisters and siblings, right?
Right.
And sharing personal, so it's so important that we discipline ourselves to rise to the occasion momentarily. One thing I really talk about also is that we need to live in the present.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
We need to live in the present.
In the moment.
In the moment. So true. Because if you always start thinking what you didn't right, what you did not do right yesterday or day before or week before or a month before, something bad happened in your life, and you keep on dwelling back into that thing, it will not change that thing. Whatever happened, it's ashes. Past is ashes. So I say that many times, we need to not worry about the past, learn from it, but change the present, the moment,
Yes.
because future also will be changing what we do self-discipline wise today.
Yeah,
And,
because that
and,
brings
and
in
likewise for the future. To
Yeah.
worry about the future doesn't do you any
Yeah.
good at
No,
all.
exactly.
What you can make is a change today.
Yeah.
In fact,
Today.
I think I butchered it a bit, but I think I kind of
Uh-huh.
quoted the thing from the Sanskrit on the last show that we were on, or either after the show, where it said, "Look to this day, for its life, the very life of life. For yesterday is just a memory, and
Yeah.
tomorrow is just a dream. But
Yes.
every today, what you're saying, Vinny, every today well lived makes
Yes.
every yesterday,
Yeah.
every
But
yesterday a memory of happiness, and every tomorrow a vision or dream of hope."
And
So
also what Vinny was saying there too is that when you look back in the past and you feel bad about it, that's when you need to kick in and say, I love myself. I love myself enough. I'm going to forgive myself, even if it was something stupid that you did. I mean, I can definitely relate to that, and I know we all can.
Oh, we all can.
One of the things that I did for a long time, I hate to admit this, but it's true. When I had my manufacturing business, I'd always make a list of things I wanted to get done.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
boy.
you never got that list done. That's impossible. But I was so short-sighted and so ignorant, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm in my 50s, 40s and 50s. I did not appreciate what I got done. I focused on what I did not get done, and I kind of beat myself up. You should have got that done. You had that done. You wanted to get that done. And if I would have loved myself, been smart enough to love myself and forgive myself and be thankful for what I got done and look forward to tomorrow, because just say, hey, it'll be there tomorrow. No one's going to break in here tonight and steal that list and get it done. Like, how dare them do that,
So true. We get so many distractions.
Yes.
Distractions and temptations. Those are the two words I think we should really delve into, because a lot of times we have very good intentions in the morning to get things done for that day. And I really believe in writing them down.
Yes.
I hope everybody watching us and listening to us, if you can just write down the big major things you want to accomplish today. And I would like to metaphorically talk about a little bit that I heard from Stephen Covey in the 7 Habits and
wow.
Highly Effective People.
Great,
Habits. Stephen
book.
Covey, great book. And the youth can pick it up right from Amazon or wherever, or even just go to YouTube and say 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. There'll be some videos you might like to watch. The big thing was, I went to a seminar. Stephen Covey was showing on the stage a jar filled with water, and there were some rocks, some pebbles, some sand, and he started putting in the jar all these gravel and pebbles and sand and everything in the water. He says, oh my gosh, I forgot to put the rocks. So the rocks were 4 of them. He tried to put them into the jar. And guess what? The water coming out and the sand coming out, and he couldn't fit those rocks in. So now he takes the same thing in another jar and puts the rocks first. And then he put the gravel and the pebbles and the sand, then the water. And then he said, that's exactly what happens to our life. And every day, if we do not set high goals to achieving 3 to 4 things that you want to do that day, and you put it in that day on a schedule, and you concentrate on 4 tasks or 3 tasks, whatever they are, most important tasks, then they get done. But if you leave them out of the day and you're spending time in unnecessary things that shouldn't be, those are the time wasters, So we need to really keep that in mind, have I written down the 3 to 4 goals that I want to do today?
Amen.
So that we could include them into that day in our life, in our weekly plan, monthly plan, or anything like that.
Oh yeah, that's very important because self-discipline. It's applicable to all ages. No one's immune to it. I choose to stay off Facebook and Facebook Messenger because it is a major distraction.
Yeah.
It consumes a lot of time, and you can't even buy a cup of coffee with all the stuff that you get from there.
Yeah.
Because I'm not saying it's worthless. I'm just saying it's not productive for me.
Yeah.
No, and if it's something, obviously, we're not saying to anybody if you enjoy visiting with your friends, if you enjoy connecting with your family, if you the thing is, what would self-discipline look like in that? I mean, if that's what you want to do, set yourself a period of time and give it to yourself. Make it a gift to yourself that you do. Spend that 30 minutes if you want to, or whatever, and you go through and do that, and then move on to the next thing, so that you're able to get those 2 or 3 or maybe 4 things that you decided, because you're the one making these decisions. You're making the decisions for your life. I want these 3 things, these 2 things, these 4 things. I want, at the end of the day, not just something on a list. I want to have reached this point, or I want to have come to this conclusion, or I want to have moved this to the next level that it needs to be, or whatever it is. But you get to make those decisions, not somebody else.
Yeah.
If it needs to be done and you want to get it done, what is it that you want to accomplish in that? And then reward yourself.
So true.
Reward yourself.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
What you just said, Emerson, it's so important to feel good, because what's our habit? If we do certain activity and we find the results, whether they're good or bad, but the effort was good. If I gave my best, and whatever the outcome was, let's pat ourselves on the back. How many of us just don't pat ourselves on the back? We are too critical. We are too critical of what we want.
That's that voice in our head.
There you go.
Instead, we're replacing that voice with, I did that.
I
Good
did
job.
it. Yes.
Hey, good dog. I was whatever.
Yeah.
But I broke through that, and you know what? Tomorrow there'll be another list, and the next day there'll be another list, and the next day there'll be another list, and the next day there'll be another list. But you know what? For today, I get to go check. And I have to tell you, one of the things about my wife, she loves to make these lists. And she loves checking things off the list. And sometimes I go, why do we even put that on the list? That's like, we could do this, and then we'll be done. She goes, no. I like checking it off when it's done.
I like it. I like it. Subconsciously, it's so important. So important.
You never hear of a guy giving his wife a list. Hey, honey, get these things down here. That's not going to go over too well. But I
try to help her check them off as much as I can.
But Vinny, one of the things I think it's really, I'd like for you to talk a little bit about, share some wisdom about, and that is when young people, old people, people of all ages have the discipline that today I'm going to be a blessing to one person, just one person. Wow. I mean, you just, go. I'm going to let you take that and run with it, because I know that you can do a good job, better job than me. How about that?
No. Thank you, Jim. I mean, the thing is, this life, we come into this stage of life. If we were looking on dinosaur years, which I know a lot of us have looked at, millions and billions of years it took to create Earth.
Oh yeah,
we are just like this.
Bam.
We are not even there. If we put ourselves 100 years of age, anybody listening, watching us, 100 years is not even a dot. It's not even visible. So why are we worried about? Why do we have the ego? Why do we not want to really help everybody, even one person, just like Jim was saying?
Yeah.
So this was like, I think I read or I listened to one story that this young man found an older gentleman near to the shore on a beach, and he found him going down. He was picking up something and then throwing it into the water. He was far away. This young man came closer and closer and closer, but the same old man was going down into the down to the sand, picking up something and throwing in the water. So as the young man came closer and closer, he found out he was picking up a fish. With the tide, lots of fishes had come into the sand. He was picking up one at a time and throwing back into the water. Said,
Wow.
I made a difference in the life of this one fish.
Wow. Wow. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
I
gosh.
love that.
Then he just went back and said, let me see how many one life, if I can help one person in this life, I'll feel very, very good person, human being. And that's so important. So I hope everybody listening to us, please do 5 charity tasks today. 3 to 5 charity tasks. You know, help some.
I think what Vinny is saying there is selfless things that you're not
Yes.
getting benefit from yourself.
Yes.
Just something nobody's paying you. You don't
Yeah.
get extra points because of it. You're just doing it to do it.
Totally. Be positive. Be positive. Give a compliment. Help somebody. Raise, shake hand with somebody other, than your family, friends, or somebody. Give them something to really think about. Give them the smile if somebody's upset or something. So try to do
Just
one.
smiling. Just smiling at people.
Just smiling. Just smiling.
When you're out and just having a big smile and making eye contact for just a
Yes.
second with them.
Yeah.
And opening doors for people. It's simple stuff that there is no direct reward for you. It's stuff that you're doing just to do. Or it's something my dad used to say, Vinny, and he used to say, son, I always try to do the right thing. He said, do it as right as you can. And do it just because it's right.
So true. So true.
Just
so
because
true.
it's right.
Yeah.
When you guys were talking, it reminded me, and Emerson knows I got a warped sense of humor. You folks out there in TV land know that too. I was traveling back from Arizona, and I kept seeing the signs, billboards along the road, good place to stop at this place and get food, and every sign at the bottom had clean restrooms, clean restrooms, clean restrooms. So I pulled in there and got some gas, got something to eat, went up there at the counter to pay. And the lady was there, and I could tell she was stressed. And I just thought, well, maybe I'll lighten her day. And I says, ma'am, I saw your signs coming down the road, and I just had to stop here. And I filled up my car with gas, got me something to eat here, but there's one thing that I just don't have time to do. And she said, what's that? I says, I don't have time to clean the restrooms because your sign said clean the restrooms, or clean restrooms. And she cracked up laughing, and then she looked at me and she says, I want to thank you for that. I haven't had a good laugh in a couple of weeks or longer. I thought, wow. So you never know whenever you say something to lighten someone's load or to make them smile or share something positive with them. Because life is like I'd like to say it's like a mirror, because if I, whatever I transmit out is going to reflect right back to me. And that can be good or it can be evil. And I always like to run that marquee there at the bottom of the screen. There you see The Stranger's Secret by Earl Nightingale. My goodness, that is a must-read for everybody. You can go on there and you can listen to Mr. Nightingale.
Yes.
And you know what the strangest secret is, folks? I'm not going to tell you, otherwise it wouldn't be a secret, but he'll tell you. But you can also go online and you can download the PDF of that, The Strangest Secret, and it's verbatim. I've got both of them. But I wanted to share that. Please go ahead, gentlemen.
Oh, no, thank you. I was going to say lots of our youth who are watching, who are in school, who are in college, please set yourself spectacular goals.
Yes.
Because you can be the very best if you are struggling with studies, or you're struggling with some assignment, or struggling with your discipline, self-discipline to really make sure that you are learning, because what time you're spending in education, spend the best time ever and be the best person, because you will see everything you learn in this college or high school or junior high or like that. It's going to make you stronger.
Oh, yeah.
But along with that, start thinking more about success and start thinking a lot more about how you can be a better human being. Mathematics, English, all those things, history will help you. But the bigger things in life that will really help you will be the life skills. It will be you thinking about positivity, you watching that, the YouTube, and you watching yourself, discipline yourself to really get into some positivity, because law of attraction, law of abundance is immense. And please think about that and think about how you can be more positive. Yeah,
Well,
please.
and Jim's heard me say that, and many of you have heard me say this before too. He mentioned the law of attraction.
Yes.
One of the things when I speak, I talk to people about the law of repulsion. Because for every, if you can picture the yin and the yang, okay, of Eastern religion, the symbol, the circle that has the curved line in it, the yin and the yang. For everything that is positive, there's got to be something, or everything in one side of it, there has to be something on the other side to keep everything in your life balanced. And when all we do is just try to attract the good, and we're not shutting out some of that negative, that's what we've been talking about here.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
It creates an imbalance there. And there's a story. I'm just going to throw this in. It's a story from the Old Testament of David and Goliath. Okay, everybody knows the story of David, young David and Goliath. And so David was just a teenager, guys. That's all he was. He was a teenager. In fact, okay, I'm going to say this, and you can look it up. The Bible says that he had really bad acne too. Okay, yeah, he had bad. Yeah, he said he was a ruddy complexion, which is what it was saying. But he shows up. His big brothers are in their armor, and they're sitting around the campfire with all of the armies up in the hills. And this giant Goliath keeps coming out and taunting them. Send down your best fighter. And David comes basically with sandwiches. He brings some food from home, right? and they're sitting around talking. And they said, you know what? The person who takes out Goliath. They said, no, what? They said, well, he gets the king's daughter. He doesn't have to pay taxes, and he gets land.
Wow.
And they're sitting around talking around the campfire, and this teenage boy, David, he goes, what do you get if you kill Goliath? And his brothers and the folks around the fire, they ridiculed him.
Yeah.
They said, don't you have some goats you're supposed to be taking care of? Get out of here, kid. You don't belong here. This is grown-up stuff. And you know what, David? This is what's beautiful, Vinny and Jim. You know what the scripture says there is, and he turned from them to another. He didn't listen to that. He turned from them to another. He wanted to get that answer. He had that vision in his mind, and we know the rest of that story. But not listening to all the negative, not listening to all that repulsing of that is just as important as the attracting of the good. Because one will just drain the other one right out of you if you listen to it.
Oh, yeah.
It's so important.
True. Oh, it's so important what you just said, Emerson. Thank you for sharing. I know in the adult world, we talk about we are the sum total of 5 people around us. This is so fortunate that if the people around you are good people, they will give you positive vibes and positive energy, and they'll listen to you and they'll make you better person.
Yes.
But if these 5 people around the youth also, I think it works that way. If they're negative, they're pulling you down.
Yeah.
They're contaminating your mind with bad, ill different things.
Yeah.
So you want to be really careful that you don't let that penetrate. Be a shield. Have the armor, like we say, right? You know, a lot of young people play games on computers now, big time, right? But you got to really shield your mind. You want to be shielded with all the negative, all the bad, all the ill will, all those.
Don't
You
listen
don't
to it.
need it.
Yeah,
You don't
yeah.
listen to them.
Don't listen to it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
It reminded me of something that I heard growing up, and I guess all of us heard it, and that is you are known by the company you keep.
Yes.
And when I was a
Lot of truth
teenager,
to
I
it.
thought that was just applicable for, a few years. But that is a principle that will follow you every day of your life.
Every day. Every day.
And you want to make sure you surround yourself with people who can be a blessing to you.
Yeah.
Maybe they can introduce you somewhere. Maybe they can help you with good advice.
For sure.
Well, and
It's-
be that person for them.
Yes.
Exactly.
One of the things I told
exactly.
my daughters when we would go to visit family or our friends or whatever, they saw me do it. It was always, what can I do to help?
Yes.
What is it that you need while I'm here?
Yeah. Oh
to
my
just
God.
have that
Attitude, that giving attitude.
yes,
Yeah.
just to have that sense. And you don't need to do anything. We've got this and that thing. Well, let me take care of this, or let me take. And the thing is, I've been to so many, and I know we all have, so
Yes.
many different events and parties and functions, and the host or hostess or whoever, the people, they're in there just going crazy trying to pull stuff together and making it all beautiful for everybody else. How many times do you as a guest say, what could I do to help?
Yes,
What
exactly.
can I do to help you? That's that giving that Vinny is talking about there.
Yeah, it's so good to give because when you are giving, you feel good. You just feel
Oh,
so
yeah.
good that you gave. Don't be a taker. Sometimes you take from your family, parents, this, that, but the giver is the one that you want to be at a high pedestal. And since we are talking about schooling and everything, when we started this show, and I talked about India, I not want to brag or anything, but I would like to challenge everybody listening and watching to be the best in your schooling, to be the best so that you could really top in your class or come second or third. And
Yeah.
that was the self-discipline that my dad put it in my mind and our other siblings' mind, that I studied very, very hard. And not to brag again, I topped in high school over there in Moti Bagh High School in New Delhi. Then by topping or coming at the top, my government of India gave me 5-year scholarship.
Wow.
5-year scholarship, all paid education on my merit for for Delhi College of Engineering, because I always wanted to be an engineer. I'm a mechanical engineer with a production degree. And my parents did not have to pay a dime for 5 years. For
Wow.
5 years. And I'll get the books also, stipend, a little bit every month. And then I'll go in a transportation of the bus, which is public transportation, because my dad only had a bicycle. That's all we had. No car. We didn't have a refrigerator. We didn't have a television. We had no cars, no nothing. But we were happy. I mean, that's how I look at it, but we had the determination that, I want to be an engineer.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to listen to a story like that Vinny just told and say, well, yeah, that was that. Come on. I say, come on, I wouldn't live like that. I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't do that. My family did this, and to miss the key elements in that is that you work with what you have.
Yes.
And the reason, okay, I'm not gonna get over on a political thing here, Jim. I promise. This country is a country that people like Vinny, our ancestors at one point, came from somewhere else and made. That is the strength and the backbone of this country.
It really
And
is.
to have the attitude and the sense and the trust and the hope and everything else. You know, a lot of times you may live in a beautiful home. Maybe you had a car when you were a teenager, and maybe you were able to drive to all your classes or to college or whatever, and never rode a bus, you know. But none of these things. What matters is the way that you think in terms of your future and going forward, and recognizing that all of those things that you are weighing, and this is what social media we were talking about earlier does so well. It shows you what everybody else has and you don't. But if you're weighing those things, a lot of those times those things are the things that are holding you down.
Yes.
So true.
Yes.
So true.
Holding you down.
So true.
You can go. When you have nothing to lose, you can go for it all. And you know, but when you have all of these things that we gather around us in our life, now sometimes that's too much work, or that's too much risk.
Yeah.
Or I wouldn't do that. You know?
So true. So true. So true. I mean, you know, I think it's so good to just look at where you are and be blessed that what you have is great. But who gave it to you? Please look at that. And that's what is the main self-discipline, is to be the best person in spite of all having the luxuries or not having luxuries. How can you make it happen? That you become the star because you're living. God has given you that gift. A miracle.
Yes.
This life is a miracle. And just like we see,
each person that you meet.
Each person is a miracle. Each person.
I want to swing around to something that, and Jim was kind of pointing this out. He mentioned Earl Nightingale. Okay. And Vinny, you mentioned about always having something charitable every day. One of the little things, I've done a lot of traveling and speaking around the country, as you have, as all three of us have. But one of the things I have always done, my kids have seen me do this in restaurants and in hotels. I always try to read the person's name if they have a tag, ask them their name if they don't, and I do my very best to call them by their name each time that I'm talking to them. That little thing is one of those giving things. That little thing, like Jim's joke, when he stopped for the gas. It may not seem like much, but could just call it, especially when it's a situation like the housekeeping in many hotels, where these are people that basically they've been kind of told to just be invisible. Just to kind of go in and do their work and be invisible, and just to have the appreciation and the recognition and the calling them by their name is an important element in that. They're not they're not a faceless person that's just to do their work. They have thoughts and dreams and visions and energy and they're doing many times very difficult work. And that appreciation is a giving all by itself.
It really is. And, you know, going back to what Vinny was talking about earlier about being the best you could be in school, you know, if you were excelling in your class and you helped another student study, now what really happens is that you're going to be really blessed because you have a greater understanding. Because when you bless others, you're going to be blessed. That's just, you know, that's just the way the world turns. If you go out in the sunlight, you're going to see the sun. That's just the way. That's just the principle in life.
And it's not about being the top of the class. Either.
No.
Even though Vinny was, it's not about being the top, or being the salutatory or valedictory or whatever. It's about being the best you. Best you can be.
So true.
And we're getting close on time, but I like to close this on a note and let you gentlemen share your thoughts on this. This past Sunday, I was talking to a young person who had just gotten out of college. They're, you know, trying to get on their feet, get a job, and pay their bills. And he was really caught up in the student debt. And I said, why don't you write this little sign, 4 letters, 4 words on a piece of paper. Put it somewhere where you see it every day, because you're going to start training your brain. And I don't know if the camera will pick that up, but get out of debt.
Yes.
Because that's what he wanted to do. Be very specific in what your goal is. Be very, very clear. Train your brain that everything that I do, and as I bless people, as I go down the pathway of life, I treat people the way I want to be treated, with respect, honor, and love, and give them abundance of love. But train your brain that you want to get out of debt. Train your brain to whatever it is that you want to do in life, to be a blessing to others. Because obviously he gets out of debt, he can use his money to be able to be a blessing to others.
So true. So very true. So very true. And again, the more you give, the love. We talked today about self-discipline. We talked about love. We talked about making the right choices. We talked about not getting tempted into wrong path. We talked about all those things, because if we want to be a better person, self-discipline is so important. So
It
important.
is.
And not 100% self-discipline. It will be hard to do that. But slowly, baby steps. Take baby steps and feel good about
Good advice.
self-discipline.
Absolutely.
Good advice.
And ladies and gentlemen, we're out of time today. We're at the 56-minute mark of the show. We sincerely hope that this show has been a blessing not only to you, but also share it with other young people, people of all ages. Like I tell people, I'm 75 physically. Mentally, I'm somewhere between 29 and 40, I guess, somewhere in there. But on behalf of Emerson and Vinny and myself, we want to sincerely thank you for tuning in. And we sincerely hope that you and your loved ones are healthy, happy, and blessed in all areas of your life. Remember to love yourself first, then you can love others. And you will have the power to forgive others.
Yes.
And that just sets you free. And we're going to be back every Wednesday, sharing some great positive message for the youth with Vinny as our guest here. And be sure and share this great show with others. And thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Emerson, thank you for being here. Vinny, this is going to be fun.
Thank you.
you,
Good
sir.
to be on with you again.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, folks.
Look forward.